company you're growing and maybe you sold a company. How many folks are investors or mentors? Fantastic. So we got a really good mix of people here this evening. I love what Startup Valley stands for. They stand for the whole entrepreneurial stack. And they stand for really driving organic entrepreneurial ecosystem development by entrepreneurs. So it's absolutely fantastic to see everyone in this room who are aspiring, who are seasoned, folks that are investors and mentors as well. So I'm not presenting a company this evening. My name is Dave DeSalt, and I'm an industrial entrepreneur. I worked at General Electric for a number of years, and I left GE and started my own companies about 9 years ago. We have about 100 employees here locally in the capital region. We do a lot of business in the oil and gas and power generation businesses, in high-tech engineering and manufacturing. And about 2 years ago, I shifted my life pretty considerably to more the investment side of early-stage companies. So I fell in love with entrepreneurship very early on in my life, and it's something that I want to dedicate the rest of my life to help build an entrepreneurial ecosystem in upstate New York. And I believe that that's done through mentorship, through investing, through looking at all these inspiring entrepreneurs in the crowd tonight, and helping you folks get on the path to success. So I'm going to talk a little about UNY50, which is an initiative that was started a couple of years ago. It's something I'm really involved here locally and across New York State. So about 15 years ago, a gentleman named Martin Babinek, I'm sure a lot of people here know him, moved back to New York State from Silicon Valley. He started his company in 1989. He grew that company pretty considerably. And then he wanted to move back to upstate to Little Falls, New York, because he wanted to commit his life to building a very similar ecosystem in upstate New York that existed in Silicon Valley, Northern California. And so when he came up with an idea, it was called UNY50. UNY50 is a peer-to-peer network that exists to plug high-value entrepreneurs and investors into the startup communities across upstate New York. So we subscribe to Brad Feld's book, Startup Communities. Who's read that book or who's familiar with that book? Brad Feld contends that a really vibrant startup community has clusters of innovation going on. So people are really commercializing technologies, innovating, R&D, a lot of good clusters of innovation and other activity going on. He says that network effects take place in vibrant startup communities where common inputs to companies become a lot cheaper, so these companies accumulate around these common inputs to go grow and build their companies in a very efficient way. He believes that there's a free exchange of ideas. We live in a very siloed community in upstate New York, which is not a dig, it's just a fact of life. And one of the things that we're passionate about is helping generate the free flow exchange of ideas and letting companies work with one another to build their companies and change industries. The fourth is to be a place where the creative class wants to live. So if you look at these four elements of a startup community, a vibrant startup community, we have all of these things in upstate New York. So Martin, when he came up with the concept of UNY50, he said, we want to be able to take entrepreneurs and successful investors and mentors, and we want to plug them into the startup community across upstate New York so they can help generate startup activity at a scale that hasn't existed before. So UNY50 comes out of an organization called Upstate Venture Connect. This is one of the organizations that Martin invested in and started several years ago. Jonathan Grudka, who's here this evening, works for UBC. Nasser Ali out of Syracuse is the executive director. And the three things that they focus on is building startup communities, measuring ecosystem growth, and celebrating our achievements. They're focused on resourcing entrepreneurs. So all of you are aspiring entrepreneurs in the group this evening. If you want to start a company and build a company, UBC is a great resource for you. They're statewide, they're well-funded, they've got great connections. UNY50 was birthed out of UBC because Martin wanted to take 50 entrepreneurs and investors across the whole upstate region and give them access to the startup communities. He wanted us to have investment opportunities so we could curate deal flow and share ideas from Rochester to Albany to Schenectady to Binghamton to Syracuse. And he also wanted to make visible all the wonderful activities that are happening in upstate New York to this group of people. So about a month ago, I was in Rochester, New York. I visited a company called Sidor Instruments, which was an amazing startup company who did some spectacular work for the defense industry. And then we took a tour of the laser lab at the University of Rochester. And the laser lab, has anyone been to the laser lab at the University of Rochester? One of the greatest gems in upstate New York. These folks are busy 365 days a year. Governments and companies and academic institutions from around the globe come to Rochester every year to use the laser lab. And that's an example of making visible the amazing resources and activities that we have in upstate New York. So the map doesn't come out of this very well. I should have known that, knowing the lights were here. This is a map of upstate New York. And we have a simple message as UNY50. We believe that upstate New York can rival areas like Silicon Valley, Boulder, Colorado, Boston, Massachusetts. We believe that we have the intellectual capital. We believe that we have the academic institutions. We believe we have the aspirations of young people who want to start companies and grow and thrive in these communities. And we believe that we can make connections from Rochester to Buffalo to Syracuse to Albany to Rhinebeck, New York, and connect like-minded people who want to invest in this over the long term. So we believe. What does UNY50 do? Why are we involved in the startup community of upstate New York? Simple. We want to build the stacks. What are the stacks? There's aspiring entrepreneurs. This is something that Startup Tech Valley believes in a very strong way. Seasoned entrepreneurs, and there's investors and mentors, and there's this kind of this cycle that takes place, right? You start your company, hopefully you develop some skill sets, maybe you exit it, maybe you don't, but you can give back to a community. And we believe that if we can take the investors, mentors, and seasoned entrepreneurs across the upstate region and connect them with aspiring entrepreneurs through mentorship and investment, that we can help grow these stacks and just cycle this thing through over the long term. And the more aspiring entrepreneurs we can help turn into seasoned entrepreneurs and investors and mentors, that cycle will continue for a very long time. And that's how we believe in building up upstate New York and making it a vibrant startup community. Again, some of the things aren't showing up, but UNY50 believes in a couple of simple rules. We believe in connecting in a real way through those 50 people in upstate New York. So today we had an event before this event. We went to Plug Power. John Kokosha hosted us. We took a tour of the plant. That's a very entrepreneurial business. We then had a forum meeting thereafter to talk about, hey, what are we doing right to help facilitate the upstate ecosystem, and what can we do better? And we have these events on an ongoing basis, and then we come and we share our resources and our ideas and everything else with events like this. So over here we have two tables of UNY50 folks from Rhinebeck, New York, Ithaca, New York, Rochester. We have people that are representing all different areas of upstate New York here tonight. We believe in sharing our ideas, sharing our deal flow. One of the ways UNY50 works in a very practical manner is if I have a deal or I have an opportunity to invest, and I know somebody within UNY50 network that lives in Rochester that has that capability, I can connect with them and say, hey, can you come mentor this company? Can you come take a look at this particular entrepreneur or help mentor them? We believe in giving back. One of the things that our values are in UNY50 is give before you get. So we give our time, we give our energy to help budding and aspiring entrepreneurs be successful. And we also believe in investing, and we're committed for a 20-year vision related to this. What is our vision? Our vision is to take Buffalo through Albany to Rhinebeck and to create a seamless and connected ecosystem or network, okay, through relationship capital. We believe that a bottoms-up approach to building a startup economy is essential to making upstate New York rival Silicon Valley, Boston, and other regions of the country. And this is our vision. When we joined the team, when Martin kind of visionized this at first, he said, this is a 20-year journey. This is a 20-year journey, and we're committed to that journey. And we want to help everyone in this room as best as we can with our resources to make this place vibrant. Our steering committee, several folks are here tonight. We have folks from Little Falls, New York, the Capital Region, Ithaca, Rochester, Syracuse, and we're only getting started. We have a very strong vision to help build this ecosystem. And what I can give tonight is, if you know folks that are very interested in giving back to this upstate ecosystem that can subscribe to our vision of a seamless and connected network across all of upstate New York, let me know. The more folks we can bring in, the more folks that we can connect with, the more folks that have resources, intellectual capital, mentorship capability. We want to connect with entrepreneurs across the whole upstate region. We want to be that runway, so folks need investment, if they need mentorship, that we can connect with the right people. That's our vision. If you are an aspiring entrepreneur and you need some resources, please visit Upstate Venture Connect. This is something that I feel strongly about. It's something I'm very excited about. When Martin first came to my office about 18 months ago to talk about this, I thought it was crazy. But as I connected with people across the state and met some amazing folks who've done some unbelievable things, that has been inspiring to me, and it's something I'm willing to dedicate my life to. I'm also an investor. I'm investing in 4 companies directly, 2 angel funds. If you are an aspiring entrepreneur with an excellent idea and a good team, I'm always willing to listen. So that's my little bit. So if you'd like some advice or whatever, I'm happy to. So with that said, I just wanted to share a few moments about what UNY50 was, about what we believe in, and what we think the future looks like in upstate New York. When I look out at 300, 400 people in this crowd tonight, I'm super excited about our future. This is an amazing group of people. With that, I'm going to introduce the first speaker this evening and the company that's presenting first, which is going to be Ilium VR. Is this Oculus Rift or? So the presenter is Sebastian Sabora. What does Ilium VR do? Ilium VR is developing a line of highly advanced virtual reality controllers and systems to revolutionize the way we physically interact with games. My 10-year-old son will never see this because he plays games way too much. So please join us.
Thank you. At Ilium VR, we envision the future of virtual reality where the physical interaction with a virtual world is as seamless as possible. And the controllers that you use to interact with the game are as similar as possible to the objects that you use in the game. Our first step towards realizing that future is developing a realistic controller for modern shooting games. We're in the middle of a virtual reality revolution. The market's pushing towards more and more realistic and immersive experiences. Products like the Oculus Rift that are revolutionizing the ways in which we are viewing virtual worlds, so much so that if you put the device on, you feel like you're actually there. The way that we're interacting with those worlds, though, specifically the controllers that we use, are lagging behind. We're moving from an age where a player doesn't want to control a person in game, they want to be that person in game. And systems like the modern gamepad or keyboard and mouse are no longer enough. Customers searching for an immersive experience don't want to press a button to perform an action, they want to perform that action themselves as realistically and intuitively as possible and have that represented in the game. That's our goal. In our specific application of first-person shooters, the object is usually the weapon that you use. The controller needs to be physically similar to a virtual weapon and follow the player's movement as accurately as possible. Current solutions on the market don't satisfy this need for multiple reasons. The most important of which is that they are not built specifically for virtual reality. This makes them difficult to set up and clunky to play with. This is a side-by-side loop of one of those solutions. It's a player with a Wiimote controller and the world that he's interacting with. As you can see, the controller is physically pretty similar to the weapon in game. It has that physical immersion, but the motion he makes are not realistic. They're not precise. If you want to aim accurately and realistically in this game, this product will not do. This is a demo of a device that very accurately and precisely tracks your hands for input. The player is able to make incredibly fine adjustments, even sharpshooting distant enemies, but just because he's able to have a precise interaction doesn't mean that he's physically immersed. The actions that he's doing in-game are not really representative of what's happening in the game. So, and also there's no controller that serves as a bridge between the fantasy and the reality. In terms of immersion for shooters, this isn't much better than the keyboard or the mouse. We spent over a year developing a solution that can be both physically realistic and precise. Our main innovation is the software and hardware technology that tracks the controller very accurately. This technology pairs with head-mounted displays that are on the market today, such as the Oculus Rift. This technology has applications in many different industries, whether it's military, medical, first responder training, many others like that. And our technology can introduce virtual reality into those markets. We're choosing first to specifically target consumer gaming. We've taken the technology and integrated it with a rifle controller. Actions that happen in the game, such as reloading, recoil, pulling the trigger, aiming, those are all direct result of actions that you perform on the controller. This is much more immersive than key presses and buttons on a different controller because it's very intuitive. We've also developed software that allows our controller to be integrated easily into games, so that when you buy the controller, it immediately plugs and plays with your favorite games. In 2014, the global market for video games was valued at $81.7 billion. 20% of that is attributed to shooter games. Gaming accessories and hardware, such as controllers, are estimated to be $32 billion by 2015. And virtual reality as a subset of those is projected to be the fastest growing at $2.3 billion by the end of 2015. And by the end of 2018, reached $7.5 billion. This rapid growth in the market gives us a great opportunity to impact that market as much as we would like. Based on what we learned from our customer interviews that we had, we're initially targeting the average virtual reality consumer, a gamer who probably already owns an Oculus Rift or is interested in first-person shooters. They're generally young adults in the 17 to 32-year-old range with a bit of disposable income. And they usually are not very technically apt, so current solutions are very difficult for them to use and set up. We also realized that to provide an immersive experience for them, we can provide more than one physical controller. So we can provide an entire product line, whether it's pistols, shotguns, sniper rifles, bow and arrows, really any form our customers show a great demand for. Along with that, we have a great opportunity for revenue through custom controllers, including licensed content. Controllers that look and feel like your favorite things from video games. Most of our customer interviews were very enthusiastic about this. They started suggesting, listing off controllers that they would buy, such as a Star Wars blaster or historical weaponry from World War II. We're going to research what are the most effective, most successful things that people like, and reach out to those companies to make them key partners. We're currently a 3-person team. Between us, we have multiple years of experience in robotics, mathematics, game design, hardware and software development, and have worked at multiple successful startups, including Prenda, VitalVO, and Nest Labs. As a team, we've been working together for multiple years, many projects. We've been finalists together at various hackathons, and we're all founders and lead organizers of HackRPI, which was a hackathon we hosted in November, and it ended up being one of the largest and most successful hackathons in the Northeast. All of this experience has given us an incredibly wide skill set that we'll undoubtedly use to move forward. Over the past year, we've made a lot of steps towards getting our product to the market. We initially developed the technology at a hackathon, which we were chosen as the top 10 projects.